earlier I did a video about not romanticizing people. Sometimes we put people on pedestals. I was talking about me specifically. I get signs of people interested in me. I'm saying I'm not as great as you'd think I am in terms of relationships because we all have our own personalities, and if we don't match, it won't be as healthy a situation as you would expect it to be. And I think that's really important. We're transparent about that, and realistic. 'Cause you can like put all your dreams into one thing, and maybe it doesn't work out how you plan it to be. Now, on the other side of that, I have people I'm attracted to too, and you can envisage sort of life together and all sorts of things. Of course, and there's one person I have specifically. Now, when I talk upon this, I don't do it to embarrass them. I don't do it to hurt them. I'm not doing anything like that. The reason I talk upon it is I want people to reflect in their own lives and realize that sometimes your decisions you make can have life changing consequences. It literally can. And it's something that maybe you delay something, maybe you dismiss something, but sometimes there's no coming back from it, and it hurts everyone involved. Now, that's not to say what someone does is right or wrong. It's just to say that a dynamic shifts and it creates something where you can't go back in time. So let's go on the assumption that because we'll assume you can't guarantee anything. So let's just go on the assumption that me and this person were supposed to be together in this lifetime. That's the assumption. Doesn't mean that is true. It takes two people to want something, but in any event, it can't happen now. It just can't because something happened that changed the course of our future, and I can't personally get my head around it. I'd love to be able to get my head around it, but I just can't. I've tried. And you could argue, like, let's say the opportunity come about and I denied it. You could argue because I can't get over something, it could be something that makes you miss out on happiness for the rest of your life. So it's quite a big thing. If you can't get over something, you can't get over something. If we all want to heal, of course we do. But some things are just too complicated or maybe traumatic or whatever. So like I said, this isn't to hurt the person involved. If they see the content, it's definitely in no way is it a way for me to embarrass them or anything. I'm not using names. So on the one instance, I have a daughter. She's nearly 15 now, so she's obviously getting older. That come from a separate like a relationship that I thought was going to be long term. I thought it was forever. So that didn't come about like my daughter didn't come about from a situation where there was anybody else involved or I was interested in anyone beforehand. So it makes it complicated after. There's none of that. It's actually this is the circumstance and I meet people with. So that's different because it didn't happen out of something. So 4 years ago, I met someone else. There was someone online. Now, there's a long distance involved in that, and people can have their own impression of what an online situation is. But from us, we're very transparent, and as you know they're real. They know I'm real. This isn't one of those weird situations. You've spoke to each other, you've done all sorts of chats and things, so you know each other, and you know each other's lives. And personally, I think they're incredible. I know they've had their history. I know they've had their trauma. So I know people are healing, and no one's perfect. But there was a chance for them and me to be together at some point on our journey. Now I understood they had their part. I've been healing for a long time. They come out of a situation. That's when we met. Like, we started talking as they ended something, and it wasn't me. I wasn't the catalyst. I was actually helping them through it as I come across them. Through a mutual party. So I was not involved in any sort of nefarious activity there. It was just that I was just at the tail end of it, and I just found out that they were going through something. So I was helping, trying to be a shoulder there, just to sort of like give them a bit of strength during the hard time. That's all that was. And then the more we started talking, we realized you had things in common. You had a personalities match. It was fun. It was effortless, and it was like, this is nice. This is not what I'm not used to. This, I'm used to. I don't want to be rude, but some people maybe less intelligence, and they're very intelligent. They're funny. So they just had similar characteristics, really, in their own unique way. And it was like, this is refreshing. But they had their own journey to go on, their own healing. And they made it clear that it wouldn't be right for me when they're not in that right frame. And I understood that. So fast forward time. Now, of course, this distance separates different countries and all that. It's complicated as hell. Sometimes you think it's too complicated to make it happen anyway. It's just mad. But I'm talking about on the assumption that it was supposed to happen. Is this is what the assumption is. I want again, it's a learning exercise for other people to know that sometimes things happen. So I left social media, come back, and this is where the transparency. I appreciate the honesty. That's really important, though. So straight away they're like, "Well, I'm in a relationship," because they do the dynamic between us. We're not just friends. There was no chance of us just being friends for life. That's not going to happen. Like for them to come and tell me I'm in a relationship tells you immediately, doesn't it, that they saw you as something potentially different. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to tell you they're in a relationship. If you're just friends, why I don't need to know your relationship status. For you to say that tells me that straight away you're aware as well that this connection isn't just a friendship. Um, so our paths sort of separated. He's trying to be friendly for the start, but it was just a different dynamic. It doesn't work. It can't work. I can't be on about like trying to tiptoe around a situation. It isn't natural. I'm not interested in that. I'm not looking for a load of friends anyway. Like in terms of especially of the other gender, because it's just too complicated. If you're in a relationship, then I owe it to myself to pursue something if something comes up. It's not about tit for tat. It's just that I'm not going to sit around waiting for people. At first I was, then I just got tired of it, and it was like, this isn't normal. I shouldn't be the one that's always waiting for people while everybody else just gets to do what the hell they want with their life. Without being rude, that's how it felt. I just felt like everybody else was having fun, and here I am having high morals, holding myself accountable while other people are doing what they want. Now, not necessarily that's how they're behaving, but it's how it felt. So I was already felt betrayed. I felt betrayed, in all honesty, and it hurt. It hit me a lot because I was talking to someone who is completely irrelevant to this, but I was talking about this connection I had with them, and I'm sure of it. And then, as we spoke, that person pointed it to me, and I didn't realize how much it bothered me. Like it was only through talking to them. So sometimes talking helps. They said that bothers you a lot more than you say. I said, how so? And they repeated it back, and I said, it does. It does feel like a betrayal. It hurt. Because I've waited, I'd been waiting for that person, and it was like I saw a beautiful life together. And again, that's me romanticizing, whether it should have been romanticized or not. Either way, I do, it's the same way people do. That's where the disappointment comes, especially when they're just supposed to be healing. Healing to me isn't jumping into a relationship with someone else. And of course, once you're in a relationship with someone else, it's physical and everything, So then your head goes, "This is crazy." Like I don't want to be someone's second choice or someone's seconds, like that. You know what I mean? There's a purity to it that I hold sacred, and it's like, oh my god, like this is just outrageous. But you're trying to keep you calm. You're trying to keep focused and think, okay, they're going through something. Maybe at some point things will work out. Now, fast forward a bit further, and I hadn't spoke to them for about a year. Next thing you know, they pop up, message me, and now they've got a child. And it's like, wow, this changes everything. This changes everything. I already felt betrayed the first time. Now, I don't want to feel bad about a child because they show me photos of the child. They look really happy. And this isn't that they've got a child. It's that they had a child when they already knew about our connection. So this isn't, I wouldn't want anyone to feel bad they've got a child. No way. They look really happy, and I think it's a beautiful blessing for anyone to have. But because of the circumstance that it happened, it makes it impossible for us to be together. If I met someone and they already had a child, that's different entirely. I can take that responsibility on, absolutely. So it's not to say a child is a bad thing, and I never would want anyone to feel that way. But I think maybe some people won't understand, and other people will totally get what I'm saying here, is that life, if we was to come together, for me, life shouldn't have to be that. It shouldn't have been that complicated. It wasn't that complicated before. Now all of a sudden it's really complicated, because when you've got a child, it also means the other partner is attached to them for the rest of their life, whether you want them to be or not. You wouldn't want someone. When it comes to children, I think it's really important that children have their parents. I really do feel that way. Unless the parent is totally no hope, and it's just a negative to their child. If they're really toxic influence, like really, really toxic. Not if they're not good enough, because some people they're not good. They're not great parents, but they don't mean to be bad. I think there's an innocence with it. I think that you can't judge someone like that, because it's that a parent, being a parent is sacred. It's a sacred situation. It's irreplaceable. So I think if someone's just maybe just not the best parent, but they don't mean it's not intentional and they're not hurting the child irreparably, then you shouldn't get in the way of that relationship. That should be allowed to happen because they can grow and they can become a better parent later, you know? So I wouldn't ever want to get in the way of a parent. But it's trauma for me because my previous relationship, it come about because it was different then. It's slightly different, but same. They were already in a relationship with someone, but I liked them a lot. This was when I was a lot younger, like early 20s, maybe even slightly younger. I'm not sure. But the person I liked was already in a relationship. They were in a relationship with someone older who wasn't really the best partner for them from all accounts. And there was a chance for us to be together, you know, but they didn't take that opportunity. Fast forward a few years, I'm getting on with my life. They reached out to me. And obviously, that's where social media was just in its infancy. We finally be able to find each other because we've gone different paths. And they really wanted to see me, and I was like, oh, I can't because I'm pursuing something else. It was a long distance thing. I hadn't really turned into anything, and they got in the way of that long distance thing. Maybe I shouldn't allow that, but then my daughter was formed from this situation anyway. So it turned out that she had a child with the person who I felt they should have left for anyway, because they were no good for him. But the point is, it was in that situation, it's not even half as bad as this one because that one, they were already with that person. It's just I felt they were the wrong person for them. And if they chose me earlier, we would have created our own family, as to what I was thinking. Like, again, not feeling bad about someone else's child, but it's the complication that comes from it. You know, you literally could have been with me and we could have built a family of our own. Like, how can I get my head around that? I can't because it's happened twice. Like, what is my life becoming? I wouldn't want anyone ever to feel bad about having a child. I've got a child of my own. It's the complication that come from it. It's like, from my opinion, that relationship should never have happened. And from that relationship, we've now got a bigger complication that stems from it. On the one hand, I could absolutely take the situation on board. You know, I wouldn't look at the child as a negative. I wouldn't treat them any different. It wouldn't be a case of there's bitterness there. But beyond that, there's a deep hurt inside of the incidents that would have happened for the situation to occur. So it's not necessarily about the child. It's about what everything represents, the circumstances. You know, you chose that person over me, made me second choice. Whatever reason it is, you weren't ready. It doesn't matter what the reason is. You don't get do-overs always in life. It's like you made a choice to make me second choice, to have a situation with someone else. And then from that situation, you know, you could argue something beautiful come from it, but it was an added complication. And I don't think you can ever articulate it without it seeming spiteful or insensitive. But I think if someone's in this situation, they would understand what I'm saying. It's hard for me to say it without seeming cruel. But I just think there's a certain sequence of events where there's no going back. I think choosing someone over you, I think there's a big enough reason to walk away. I think having a child with that person is further reason to just say enough's enough. Like, how much torment should I go through? How much second choice should I be here? So, you know, I said if someone's already got a child and I was to meet them, I've got no problem they have a child. It's not a deal breaker, you know. Why would it be? I've got a daughter of my own. It's really how that all happened. And it's quite sad, I think, because if different decisions had been made, it's a sad situation. Different decisions had been made. You potentially had the potential to be together. On the other side of that, they wouldn't have their child. So I wouldn't want someone to obviously go without their child. Once you've got that bond, it's unbreakable. And I definitely wouldn't want someone to feel bad. I just think the situation has reached a point where it can't form. I just can't see it. Plus, you've got the added, it's too many complications for me personally. I just think it's enough. It's enough. And I think it's sad because I think in a different timeline, different sequence of events, I think potential for marriage, all sorts. And I think that bothers me a lot because it's like if you was to get married to someone, you should be able to handle absolutely everything. Everything life throws at you, you should be able to handle. But betrayal is one of those I just can't get my head around, and I wouldn't want someone to feel bad about that. But in some way, other people might not see it as a betrayal. It's how we feel in our heart, isn't it? You can't negate it. I can dismiss it and block it off and just go, no, I'm focused on the person because I think they're incredible. And it's like, I know if you can let that go, we can have a beautiful life together. If it happens, if it was to come together, you create new memories, you travel, you can have a great life. But there'll always be that toxic part where you wasn't their choice, and it's only because it didn't work out in their other circumstance. Now you become an option. I want someone to sort of light up and be excited that they even have a chance with me in the same way I'd feel the same way for them. Like you're deeply in love with each other and you have no reason to question anything. Because I always talk about that. Loyalty and honesty are huge to me. Now, they were honest and I appreciate that. That side of you can't argue that. They've been honest. They've been honest, They literally said everything as soon as they could. Sort of. I didn't even know they were pregnant. So there was a whole lull there without knowing anything. I think that's what makes it even more shocking. Um, but you can't argue against, I guess, the honesty side, even though there was a betrayal. But you can question the loyalty side for sure. And that's the part that I can't beat. Um, so yeah, it hurts. Not that it's definitely an option anyway, but I just don't see how it can anyway. So sometimes the videos I do on purpose to just to prevent them the heartache. It hurts me that we're not together, but I actually can't see how we can be anyway. So I wouldn't want to put them in a situation where they make themselves vulnerable. I know I do these public videos and maybe it hurts, but it's not to. I don't try not to hurt them. I try not to make it personal, like in terms of names and things. Life's complicated, and the reason to do this is I want people to see that your decisions can have irreparable harm. You might think, I'm not ready for this situation, so I'm just going to fool around. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You can have a situation that can't be changed. You literally could change the outcome of your whole destiny, and by extension, those around you. Uh, Quite heavy. That's the life I live, so my journey is to pursue and hopefully meet someone I think equally of significance. So now I'm always comparing people to the way I felt about that person before this happened. And my standards are high because I'm not, and like I said in other videos, I think I'm probably going to be destined to be alone for the rest of my life. And it may very well be this situation is the reason because I can't make peace with it. Now, I hope, I'm hoping the universe had something beautiful planned for me that replaces that situation. That'd be nice. But we'll see how life plays out, really. It may very well be. I put that situation as too much importance, and it's not that situation anyway. But if it is that situation, I can't get my head around it. Unfortunately, I've tried and tried and tried. There's just no words that could change a vision of such magnitude for me. Now, there'll be people that think it's blown out of proportion. I get it. But, when it comes to our heart and minds, it's really intertwined into one, isn't it? So yeah, there was other things I was going to say there, but I can't remember where I was going off with. So I don't want to sort of drag out for no reason. Now, because I see it this way, doesn't mean other people see it the same way. So there'll be a different version of events and a different way of thinking, really. But the big take home for me is when someone chooses someone else, they're imagining a life with that person. So it's almost like a commitment to the situation. And that's one of the things I don't let go is because of relationship vows, now you become desirable. What if the relationship didn't fail? That means they were preparing for a life, potential marriage with this new person. So where was I going to fit into this before it falls down? If it didn't fall down, I would have been left pursuing my own life anyway, doing what I'm doing. It's only because it falls down, now you're desirable. This doesn't make you feel too special, does it? That's where it comes. And yeah, so anyway, And so I wouldn't want someone to feel bad about having a child because it's a beautiful blessing, truly. It's just the added complication. So they'll meet someone potentially. Let's say the relationship doesn't work out because I know there was issues towards the end. Just as we started talking, they were telling me about certain things. I didn't go too deep into it because it weren't my business. Um, but it just means that when they're ready to jump into a new, if that ends and they're ready for a new relationship, um, and they find someone, that person wouldn't have been in the situation I was in because they met them fresh. They meet them fresh, don't they? They meet them fresh. It just turns out they've got a child. Can you handle that obligation and that situation? And someone else would be like, hell yeah, I can jump into this. But they haven't been betrayed, so they haven't had that sequence of events because I never put them through that. I was always waiting. Silly me, eh? Um, so yeah, so all of us carry something, I think, some sort of heaviness. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, though, there's no guarantee that was always going to form anyway. It was just a situation that could have been, I think.